Hello, hello. Welcome to the Mother Days podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Wright Olson.
And I'm Teresa Palmer. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! Hi, everybody.
Hi.
We are back. We're back. It's so exciting.
Oh, we are back. We hope that you enjoyed our reruns of two of our most favorite episodes and really inspiring episodes. I was listening being like, God, this is so good for the world. Like what these women are sharing, it's just so good. And it's nice to have that reminder in the new year.
Yeah. I think it sets you up for, everybody kind of looks at different parts of the year as their, my intention setting time. So, for some people, it's around their birthday. For some people, it's the new year. Sometimes it's a religious holiday. But I think it's so nice to start off the new year just clean slate, cleanse palate. Let's just... it's not a new me. It's me ever evolving, right?
Yeah.
And so we're just finding new, amazing things that we can dip our toes into. So I'm so excited about 2025.
Oh my gosh, great. I'm so excited. I could not feel more positive and just pumped up. And I had last year was such an amazing year in so many ways. And I said to Mark, I was went to post this photo of us, which I ended up posting, and I was like, best year yet. And then I was like, oh, whoops, hang on. I also had a pregnancy loss. And so that was really hard and all this. And then I was like, oh, but I just can't help but feel so grateful. And there were maybe a few moments of, disappointment and heartache. But overall, my reflection is just gratitude.
Yeah.
So happy. So many big life things happened for me last year. I'm actually recording this. This is my very first podcast. Oh, that's not true. But it is my very first podcast from Byron Bay as a resident of Byron Bay.
So insane.
Which is really cool. We just landed. We had a 3-day epic drive and it was so funny. We had so many funny things happen, but we landed here in Byron. We're staying at our friends Chrissy's house, Chrissy and James Digan, who we had on the podcast.
Love him.
So we are staying here and we just had the best New Year's last night and high vibes all around.
High vibes. We love that.
Oh, tell me about your Christmas. I want to hear about all your feelings. Tell me all the things.
All the things.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. We'll start with we left right after the kids had a winter festival at school, and they did some singing, and they had all these stuff that they had put together. And then we jumped in the car and we drove from LA to Salt Lake City, which is a 10-hour drive. And there were some rumblings at the school of some kids who had not been feeling well. And so I was like, oh, it's fine. We'll be great. My kids are all healthy. We're going to just, every year I feel like we battle a sickness of some sort. And, so I was like, well, we'll just head off and see what happens. And so basically we got to Salt Lake City after our 10 hours and got everybody ready for bed, got into bed, and about 2 hours into sleep, Winter woke up throwing up. And so I was like,
oh my God.
I was like, maybe it's what we ate on the drive. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just a little. 20 minutes later, she threw up again. And she threw up every 15 to 20 minutes the entire night long. And
oh my God, Sarah.
I was like, just imagine a 10-hour road trip with 3 kids and a dog in a pickup truck. and you get to your hotel, you get into bed, you can't wait to sleep, you go to sleep, and then it's a vomiting night. It was wild. So I was not, I wasn't necessarily fast enough to like grab her from the bed and run her to the bathroom because we were like in this hotel, right? So I had to put towels all over the bed just in case. And then sometimes I would like wake up in my 15-minute window of sleeping and like grab her and start to run. And then she'd be like throwing up on the way. And then sometimes Eric would like jump up and grab her and he would be really fast. So we were just sort of like tag teaming all night long. I felt so bad because he'd driven the whole day and I was like trying to give him windows of going to sleep, but then it just got chaotic. I had to call twice in the night for them to bring more towels to the room. And it was an eco hotel, like a sustainable hotel. And I felt so bad because I was like, literally the signs on the walls say like, you know, reuse your towels and don't.
Yes, yes, I know those hotels.
I'm not kidding, Tez. I think I went through 18 towels that night.
Oh like, my God.
Oh, it was so bad. I was like, can you bring 6? Can you bring 6 towels this time?
Oh my gosh. And you know what's in your future. Once one kid is down, you know that this is going to be like, this is going to bounce from her to the next one, to the next one.
Yeah. So then we were like sanitizing everything. I was cleaning everything. I was like, okay. Finally in the morning, it calmed a tiny, tiny bit where she like maybe got a 30-minute window. And then everybody started waking up. And I was like, okay, guys, because Wyatt and Esme slept right through it. We were all in the same room. They had no idea.
Of course.
And I was like, okay, you guys, as Winter was sick all night. So we have to wait a little bit and just see, like, can we get a window to like get back in the car? We had another 5 hours to go. And so, once it hit like, I think it was like 9 a.m., I was like, Winter, how are you feeling? Like, do you feel like getting in the car? I mean, it was about every 30 minutes at this point. And she was like, yeah, I could get in the car. I was like, she's such a team player, like so game on. I would have been like, no way am I getting in a car. Are you crazy? That's how I would have felt. And so we all got into the car. I sat next to her. I had a trash bag and a bunch of paper towels. She threw up maybe 5 more times on the drive.
Oh no, Sarah.
I know. I felt so bad
I'm just thinking about how much she hates like dirty stuff as well and smells. Yes. And like, this is the worst kid of yours to have this happen to, like on a road trip. Or maybe it would have been worse for her if it was someone else's vomit.
I think that would have been worse. Yeah. But she was such a trooper. She was like, it like broke my heart a little bit because she had such a good attitude the whole time. You know, she was just like, I want this to stop. And I was like, don't worry, it's going to stop. And I was giving her like little sips of coconut water. And then finally it calmed down. She fell asleep. And then we finally got to Idaho. We were like, oh, okay, great. Like, we're going to need to go to sleep. Unpacked, got everyone unpacked, and then fed. And then Esme was like not really eating her food. And I was like, that's unlike you. That's unlike you. Are you feeling off? And she was like, no.
No, I'm great.
She's like, no, I'm okay. I think I'm just tired. And I was like, oh, Jesus. Okay. So I'm like getting them all showered up and ready to go to bed. And then she looked at me upstairs and she was like, and I was like, to the toilet, let's go. And I like ran her to the bathroom and she started throwing up. And then I literally looked at Eric and I was like, I don't think I can do it. I think you have to do it. and I mean, poor guy drove the whole time, like up half the night anyway.
Oh my God.
He set up a bed for her in the bathroom and stayed, you know, by her side all night long. And she was sick the whole night. And so our Christmas adventure started with a stomach flu. Yes. Then it was like, you know, another 7 days of Eric, Wyatt, and I wondering, like, are we going to get it? Are we going to go down?
Next? Yeah.
Who's next? You know, and then we were fine. Like, each one of us had a day of like, my stomach feels weird. Yeah. And then, but we never ended up, the 3 of us didn't end up throwing up. Thank God.
Oh my God.
And And then it was fine. It was great. I mean, we've been in Idaho the whole time. It's been so snowy and beautiful.
It's so snowy there.
Oh my gosh. It's like living inside of a snow globe. Like every day we've been waking up and it's just been pouring snow outside.
Wow.
It's absolutely stunning. Here, I'll show you. If you're watching, sorry for the bed over there, but
oh my gosh. I love the rooftops with all the snow on top. Australia never looks like that over Christmas. That's just not ever going to happen.
Never going to happen because it's also totally summertime there. I was talking about that with the kids. They were like, wait, everybody's in t-shirts. I was like, oh yeah, because it's not cold there. It's summer. And so
we're like outdoors in the sun in the pool around Christmas time.
It's great. It's so different. So crazy. But anyway, yeah. So Eric's brother's here and his our sister-in-law Danny and the kids. And so we've just been sort of in and out. Some people have been sick. And so we've like taken our time and gotten together when we can and hung out, and it's been so nice.
How long do you usually stay each Christmas? Like, when do you come back to LA?
It really depends on the kids' school schedule, but like this year they don't go back to school until this episode will be out and they'll be back in school. But at the moment we're recording this, it's about a week and a half before that. So they go back around January 6th. So we're going to head back in a few days.
I keep forgetting your big break isn't until June, because my kids go back to school February the 3rd.
That's right. Yeah, because you're on summer break.
Yeah, this is our big break. Yeah.
Yeah. So our summer break is in the summer. Well, our summer.
Yeah.
So June through August.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a funny calendar. Your calendar year makes so much more sense because of like the way that your weather is. Yeah. It's the full year. But ours is broken up in really weird ways. And we have like, weird 2-week windows at spring break and things like that.
I always love that spring break window because that's when we get to have Isaac. So he'll be coming to Byron Bay in his little spring break. Yeah. And I'm always like,
it's going to be so fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I can't wait to have him here.
That's going to be amazing. So so we're starting to pack up soon and head back. But, I don't know. It's mixed feelings because Christmas and, all that has been so lovely here and being with the kids in the snow, and every single one of them has been skiing. So like, Wyatt's like ripping it. So is Esme. They're going down blacks and blues and the whole thing. And, and then Winter's learning, but she's doing great. And it's just been so cute watching everybody like, it's fun when you get to a place where you as a family can ski together. Cause like for so many years you can't. And then finally you're like, oh, we can all do it. And
we can all do it.
Oh my God. And then one more story is that Esme, so Eric was on a lift with the 3 kids and I'm like taking pictures and whatever. And at this point I'm not out there with them. I don't see this happen, but Eric is on one side of the lift. He has Winter next to him. He has Wyatt and then Esme, and the lift takes off. And all of a sudden Esme goes, Dad. And he looks over and she's hanging by one hand on the bottom bar of the chairlift.
What?
And she slipped off and she's hanging with one arm. And she's like, Dad. And the guy running the lift stops it. She's like 4 feet up in the air, 5 feet up in the air. And he comes up underneath her under the lift and he goes, let go. And he catches her. She like comes down, skis on and everything. And he's like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm okay. And he goes, do you want to catch the next chair? Or do you want to like jump, do you want me to like hoist you up for this chair with your dad? And she's like, I want to go up on this chair. So he puts her up on his, of course, it's like a total mountain guy, right? And he like puts her up on his shoulders and she climbs back up on the chairlift. On the chairlift. It's so Esme, it's like,
my God. How did she slip?
It's pretty slippery and it's been snowing nonstop. So if you're like, it's hard to see, it's like a whiteout. And she probably was trying to get situated and just slipped off and then caught the bottom bar.
Oh my gosh.
With her arm and was just like, Dad?
Oh my gosh. And poor Eric would have been in a full panic. Like, oh my God. He's got all 3 kids.
He's got winter. So he like couldn't, it's not like he could reach down and like pull her back up. But when the guy hoisted her up, Wyatt was like pulling her back onto the onto
what
the
a
chair.
baller. She's so like, oh yeah,
she's so tough. I know. Certain things she's like, will totally be like, ah! And then for that, she's like, Dad, something's not right here.
Oh my God. I'm glad she said something straight away. Imagine she's like, wee for a while. Like,
oh, jeez. That would have been horrible.
I'm like, I look at all that stuff, like all the morbid stuff. My biggest fear is that one of my kids would fall off a chairlift. I've always had that. And then it happened to Rachel Zoe. Remember her kid?
Oh my God, yes.
Yes. And then that came out and I was like, that was my biggest fear.
He broke something.
Yeah, I saw her at a birthday party and I was like, oh my God, your story and your kid, like in my head, that's always been such a big fear of mine. And she was like, it was awful, but he's amazing. And, and I read it in the media and I was like, oh my God, she lived through one of my biggest fears.
That's insane.
Oh my gosh.
Really,
what a story.
Terrifying. What a story. Well, okay, tell me about your holidays. How was it?
Oh, well, it was really chaotic. So, I was in Melbourne working on this TV show, The Family Next Door, which was so fun. And I have to say, like every job that you do, it's funny. It almost feels like summer camp, doesn't it? Like you go and you make such good friends with everyone and then you're like, goodbye, we'll be best friends forever. And then you don't ever really see them again unless you're at an event and you're like, oh yeah, we did that show together, But like every job you're like, oh, this is going to change my life. Anyway, I feel like in a weird way, this one, I really made friends for life. Like my director, Emma, she lives an hour away from Byron. We just connected in such a beautiful way. And we had this little like crew on set and we called ourselves the Flaps. We were like, you know what? And this is what it means to be a flap. You are kind to people. You are chilled. You are, you have a laugh. Like everything's kind of cruisy and easy. And we like created this like gang of the Flaps. And one of the other girls, Pip, she's such a beautiful actress and I just celebrate her with every part of me because she's so incredible in every way. And just like one of those warm yes and like someone puts something down, you pick it up and you build on it and it's positive and you're sharing stories and there's no like cutting each other down or no. And I realized like, oh, that's such an important trait in a friend for me is I feel like that's when I instantly connect with someone when they are just of that way in this world, like, supporting each other, lifting each other up, like celebrating wins that each other are having. And I just met these people and it just felt like that really exciting feeling where you're meeting a really new good friend for the first time and you go deep real quick. So we really just celebrated that last week. We just celebrated all meeting each other and having this incredible experience, making this show. So after that wrapped up, it was just straight into the busiest period of my life. And that's saying something because I have a very busy life. But it was like,
what does that mean? What does the busiest period of your life mean?
It was, I had every night after work, you would work from like 6:30 a.m. and you'd get home, but I'd get home by maybe 8 p.m. and it's straight into bedtime with the kids. And then I had an hour at night to start packing up the house. And we lived at the house for 4 months, and it was my mum, and we had visitors at different times, and there was just a lot to pack up. So I would use that 1 hour every night. And I got the house pretty much packed up and ready to go, but it wasn't 100% ready by the time we were meant to leave on the Saturday. So I woke up at 5 a.m. Saturday morning, and we were driving back to Adelaide, and I just went ham, and we kind of got the last little bits done. And so we pack up this car, and it does not fit. Like, so even with me sending my mum and the 2 boys and 4 suitcases on a plane, they were going to fly back to Adelaide, which is just a 1-hour flight. And my dad and my stepmom were picking up the boys to have the boys until we arrived via car. So it was me, Mark, the dogs, the cat, and the 2 girls driving back. And it's about an 8-hour drive. We suddenly realized, like, oh my God, it's not going to fit. Like, this stuff we've got too much stuff. I don't know what happened. I think because I drove over the first time without Mark, we didn't have any of his stuff. But I thought offloading 4 suitcases would mean, like, oh my gosh, it's going to be a breeze. Like, but we had accumulated so much in 4 months. It's so easy to do. And I'm like, how did your guys' stuff
multiply?
Well, do you know what? I now know what it was. Forrest had his birthday party. And so he got heaps of toys.
That's right.
Things were still boxed up, and I didn't have time to unbox everything. And so we're just throwing everything. And then plus we had the Christmas presents as well.
Right.
And so we had all of that, and we had to figure out how to make it fit. Anyway, eventually it fit, but I'm carrying things on my lap for 8 hours, and there's just like no room in the car at all. We make it into Adelaide, and it's the 23rd of December. So we arrived like the 23rd of December. And then so the whole next day, it's like that night we stayed up and we were wrapping things and we were figuring stuff out. And we had our house that we've sold, but we had our house still, and it was just an empty house. So we're like, this is perfect. We'll put the kids to bed. My mum's there, and then we'll go to the house and we'll use all that space to do what we need to do. And we were there until like 11:30, just putting things together and like wrapping and whatever. And then we ended up moving into a house in Aldinga the next day, but still having to get I hadn't even done my mum's Christmas shopping. I hadn't bought anything for my dad. We were hosting Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Hosting Christmas?
We were hosting Christmas for my family. We hadn't even moved into the house yet. We weren't moving in until the following day. Anyway, the 24th ended up being really lovely because a couple of my friends came down, and Aldinga Beach is about an hour away from Adelaide. It's like right on the beach. It's so beautiful. We got a house beachfront. We rented just this beautiful home. And we just spent it was the first time we could relax, and we spent the whole evening out in the ocean with all of our kids. So combined,
that's cute.
It was so cute. It was my friend Chantel, my friend Claire. Chantel has 3, Claire has 4. I've got 4, and all the kids were just in the ocean. The sun was setting. It was magical. It was so beautiful. And I was like, what an incredible Christmas Eve. And then my friends left. The kids got into the Christmas pajamas. We wrote the letter for Santa. We put everything out. We read Christmas books and then put them to bed. And then the next day had the most magical Christmas. And I hate labeling like this one's better than the next, but it might have been our very best Christmas.
Really? Why? What made it so special?
Well, the night before was so beautiful with friends.
Yeah.
And then in the morning, we all just woke up and we're overlooking the ocean, and my Uncle Peter stayed over. I made him wear matching pajamas as well. 81-year-old Uncle Peter was wearing them. We were all in our Christmas PJs. The vibes were so high. It was just this new chapter because it was also kind of the last hurrah for us in Adelaide for the time being.
That's right.
it was just so special. It was really fun. My sisters are hilarious. They're the funniest people you'll ever meet. They're just like, I mean, you've met my sister Vicky at my wedding, but they're just full of the funniest stories and the craziest stuff. And on Christmas Day, we decided to all go into the ocean, and we had been drinking. I mean, we got through about 9 bottles of like the best red wine and champagne. Obviously, my dad.
Is this your dad's collection?
Yes. So my dad's high-end collection of reds. And then, and he gave me this present, and he was like, now this is so special. Don't let anyone have this unless it's a special occasion. And it was a Shandong.
And you opened it immediately.
2012. And I sort of put it off to the side. And then we're in the ocean at some point. And then my sister's got this bottle of red in her hand under her arm, like waddling into the ocean with 2 full glasses of red, like glassware, with this bottle under her arm. And she's like, whoa! Like she runs into the ocean. And we're like, Vicky, what are you doing? We're not allowed to drink in the ocean. And then she's like, I brought booze. And then she's drinking from the bottle. And me and my sisters are drinking from the glasses. And then I realize it's my 2012. It's my Shandong.
My God. Did you ask your dad how much that cost?
Oh, I don't even want to know.
You don't
and I was like,
know.
oh my God, it's a 2000. Vicky's just found some booze and be like, whoa, let's go to the ocean.
She can't even really taste it at this point because she's been God. You're supposed to, at that point, you're supposed to drink like 2 bucks.
The crap, like the crap shit. But we had, and I just hadn't, I did put it away. So I was like, oh God, hilarious. And so we end up like in the ocean and we're drinking red wine and the kids are just like having the best time. And Bodie's laughing his head off because my sisters are so funny and telling just like the most outrageous stories. And it was just really, really fun. And then we went back, my sister and her son, who's a teenager, he's 17, Jack, they slept over. Uncle Peter slept over. Everyone was pretty wasted and having fun. And, you know, Mark cooked for everyone and just cooked this amazing caramelized onion pasta. And it was just so good.
Yum.
And that was really fun. But that was basically the celebrations. And then the next day it was like into another family Christmas at my stepmom's house. And then it began like the crazy pack up. So,
oh, geez.
You know, we had packed up our house for sale and I had done a lot of that on my own. And then Mark did the finishing touches. So that was all in storage on the property. So we now had to take it all out of storage. And then I had to go through the boxes, the suitcases, everything to find what are we bringing to Byron in the trailer and what are we storing and leaving in Adelaide. So the house we've rented in Byron is fully furnished. So there are obvious things I didn't need to bring, like bedding and, you know, furniture and things like that. But there were toy boxes and kids wanted specific toys that they had remembered. And so then it was on the 27th, we got there at 8 a.m.
So much.
And we left at 11 p.m.
No.
And we just went through and I made all these bags and we just were like, okay, this is the Byron pile. This is the storage pile. And then the next day the moving truck arrived, came and picked up everything. And it literally couldn't close its doors. Like it all just fit perfectly. He moved one box and they finally could close the doors. But it meant we had a lot of stuff to bring in the trailer. And we were like, we don't even know if it's all going to fit in the trailer. And then the most beautiful thing happened because it was our last day at our home that I've lived in for 30 years, like 33 years of my life.
Gosh.
And I had sort of kind of disconnected my feelings just to because I had so much to do. I was so focused on the task at hand rather than like getting emotional about the house. And then one by one, like the OGs, like my best mates all started turning up to like bid us farewell. And so it was like Kat and her kids arrived and then Susie and her daughter and her partner arrived and then Cass and Stu arrived and Claire arrived. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so deeply meaningful. And they all started helping us move into the trailer, and there were tears, and we took photos. We all sat in the kitchen one last time. Like, there's just been so many memories there at that house. And we sat up on the kitchen bench, and Stu, who's a photographer, he took our photo, and it was just like so gorgeous. And then as we drove out, they waved us off and they said farewell and they said goodbye. And we were like, oh my God. It was just, it was really beautiful. And then we embarked on a 3-day monster drive. So it was about 24 hours of, if you drove there straight, it's about 24 hours. But obviously we weren't going to do that. And we stopped off along the way. The first night was at this amazing place called Mystic Park Hotel, which was literally in the middle of nowhere. And I think I sent you a video.
What
I
was
was like,
mystic about it?
It was so, I was like, there's this huge kind of old looking hotel, which are like friends have decided to just run together, and they live there, and they're not even from Mystic Park area. They just took over the hotel and they've turned it kind of into this Airbnb. So it was really fun. It was dog friendly. So we could bring the cat up, the dog. They let us let our dogs off leash, like in the hotel running around. And then we slept in these kind of dormitory type rooms up on the second floor of the hotel. And the owner was so amazing. Like, we rocked up really late. We got there at 11:30 p.m. because we had quite a few stopovers, and they stayed up and had a giggle with us, and we were all just, it was so, and she was like, this is what Airbnb was originally set up to do, was to like have someone host you where you meet the owners and you like hang out together or whatever. And she was like, it's done so differently now. It's all self check-in, and you know, you don't have very much interaction with the host family. But this felt like old school. They really hosted us. Like, she left us out water for each of us, for each room. And there was this communal bathroom, and it was just so quaint and gorgeous. And then we stayed and chatted with the owners in the morning and had hot chocolates and coffee in the morning. And then I was like, we really need to get on the road. Like, we're having so much fun hanging out with these people. And then that second day was the longest day of driving. That was like 12 hours. My mum slept a lot of the time. She was next to me. So it was me driving. My mum was next to me. In the back, we had the seats down. I had a big kennel that the cat was in, with a kitty litter tray and food and water. And then the dogs were in the back as well. So I was in charge of the animal car, and then Mark drove the trailer and the big van with all the kids. And it was just,
oh my God, it's just a massive, massive caravan. I can't. I need you to put up all the photos from.
It was so funny, Sarah.
Like, that was insane.
Oh, my mum had to do a bush piss, and it was just the funniest thing I've ever seen. Like, because she's older. She was like, I don't want to do this. And I was like, Mum, we are in the middle of nowhere. I'm telling you, there is no rest stop. Like, you've got to commit. You've just got to do it. And I was like, lean up against the bin and just go for it. And Mark's like, what is happening back there? And I was like, my mum's just taking a piss. Don't worry. And I was like handing her toilet paper, and then
oh my God.
I was like, I need to do a poo. I need to go poo in the bush. And then it's like my body refused to do it because I really was busting to do a poop. And I was like, all right, I got this. I got my toilet paper. I'm just going to be one with nature. People do this all the time. Let's go. And then my body just would not let me poo. I was like, come on, come on. So then I ended up with a stomach ache, and I just waited. I was like, I'm sure I can find a truck stop. And all the toilets are disgusting, by the way.
Gross. Yeah, it's like not the thing that you want to go do.
Oh, I squatted on every one of those toilets. My skin did not touch a toilet seat on that road trip. I was like, there is just no way I'm going to get a disease. Like, some of them are so foul.
I got for legitimate norovirus from walking into a bathroom. I hovered, did not touch anything. I was like using paper towels to get in and out of the bathroom too, because I was so scared. And I like washed, and then I went to the car and I sanitized my hands and my shoes and like everything. I was so afraid because I went into this bathroom and it was nasty. There was like stuff on the walls. Like it was so gross.
Oh my God.
And I got the freak. I literally 24 hours later had norovirus. I was like,
oh, that's
vomiting.
foul.
Oh, and it was for sure 100% was from
you were
that
like
bathroom.
huffing it because you can't stop breathing. You've got to breathe that shit in. So yeah,
totally.
I know. Oh my God. Yeah, there were so many times I was holding Prairie in this weird sort of scrunched position with her butt over the toilet, like, don't touch anything. Nobody touch a thing. It was so gross. But
nightmare.
Then it was a bit longer because I'd take the dogs out for a pee and then the cat also held its poo basically the whole time until the second day. And I was like, come on, Aslan. I gave him a big meal. And then suddenly I was like, oh, something stinks. And I was like, finally, the cat's pooed. We need to pull over. The cat's pooed.
Oh, nightmare. That is all my nightmare. I can't. The litter box in the car.
Litter box in the car.
Absolute that is a nightmare for me. I can't handle that. I don't know if there's anybody else out there that like has childhood trauma from litter boxes. Like I can't handle a litter box.
And it smells, it just stinks. Like even yesterday, so it took us 3 days to get here. We finally got here. The third day was cruisy. We almost drove straight apart from a couple of shit stops. But when we got here, I was like, oh wow, like, okay, now I've got to unpack this entire trailer. But we arrived at 7:30. So Chrissy and James were like, let's do this in the morning. I was like, okay, good idea. So, because I was ready to go. I was like, come on, I got another 3 hours in me. Let's just grab these boxes, put it in the container. No. So they were like, I just think, why don't we do that in the morning? Okay, fine.
When do you move into the house? Like soon?
Well, not till the 20th of January. And this is what is like added to the crazy is that, so we've landed here at their house with all of our stuff, and they have a trailer or a storage facility, whatever, on their land. So we've just kind of packed everything into the like container. That's what it's called, a container.
Yeah.
And the weather in Byron is so different from Adelaide. So the heat yesterday, doing this in the heat, because I was like, we're going to move everything in. But then I realized like, oh, shoot, like I actually can't because the boys, Mark and the boys are leaving to go to Los Angeles for this planned boys trip that they've been trying to do for about 2 years, but I didn't let the boys do it because I was like, Forrest is too young to be away from his mom, like blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so the boys trip is finally happening. They're going for 10 days. It'll be the longest I've ever been away from my boys. And but then I realized like, I've got to now pack for the boys for LA. So then yesterday I was out in the blazing hot, insane sun, moving boxes and finding suitcases and packing for the boys for the rest of the Byron days. We've got 5 more days left in Byron. So we need summer gear. And then LA is a little cooler. So I had to find like cooler gear for the boys, pack that. But then for the girls, I'm bringing them to Ireland with me because I'm going to go shoot Frankie's movie. So Ireland is freezing cold.
When do you leave for that?
Mark and I are both leaving on the same day. So January the 5th, Mark and the boys head off to LA, and January the 5th, me and the girls head off to Ireland to go shoot this movie. And so I had to just sit in that hot sun with spiders and creatures. I was like in the grass, like trying to pack yesterday, just being like, this is a nightmare. I cannot wait to be done. Creatures, like just, and also random chickens, like bush turkeys and chickens. And there was this chicken. I was like, is that a chicken? And Mark's like, yeah, that's someone's chicken. And it just kind of came over to us, and I just scooped it up, which you would never do, by the way. You'd be like, Dazeys, probably. I just picked up this random chicken.
Bird flu.
I literally just picked up this random chicken. And I was like, hello there. And I was like,
I mean, if I knew it was someone's chicken, I would probably pick it up. But if it was a wild chicken, I'd be like, I'm not touching that.
You're dead to me. Yeah. I was like... what is this random chicken doing over here? So I just scoop up this chicken and Mark's like, you've lost it. Because I start talking to the chicken. I was like, hello there. I am a vegan and I don't eat you. So that way you can feel safe in my arms. I'm going to cuddle you.
God.
I don't like the taste of chicken. And then he was like, babe, I think you need some water. Like you've lost it.
He's like, are you okay?
I have been here for an hour and a half in the sun and now I'm talking to the random chicken. It was really friendly. I don't know whose chicken it was.
And there's like spiders as big as your head.
There's like spiders. There's just, you sit in the grass for 2 seconds, you're bitten by something. It was like these little like creatures. And
I can't live there.
Chrissy kept being like, can you like sit in the trailer to pack this rather than on the grass? And I was like, oh, I'm one with nature. Like I'm fine. And then she was like, I am telling you, you are going to want to sit like in the trailer to pack the stuff. Anyway, after an hour and a half, I finally have a bag for the girls, a bag for the boys, a bag for Byron, for each kid, a bag for me, for both things, for Island and Byron.
For freezing and then warm.
And warm. Gosh. It's just so, and I can't wait. So we move into that house the 20th of January, which is also my mum's 70th birthday, which is exciting. And we arrive back on the 17th and we move into another place for 3 nights called Bunker Byron, which is going to be really cool. So we move in there for 3 nights and that's just a mutual, like a friend through Instagram. It's her place and she's offered us to stay there for 3 nights, which is so beautiful. So we go there and then we go into our new life here in Byron at our house. And I really could not be more excited. I'm open-minded. I'm just like, what is this experience going to be like? And I've been talking for so long, but there is this other little interesting thing that I'll kind of leave you guys with about manifesting. So I had this epiphany, I would say about a month ago. I was surrounded by those really high vibe women at work. And I was just like, I had kind of, like Sarah and I shared on the podcast, I got a little bit disenfranchised with like how hardcore I was doing the manifesting. And then I was kind of getting really fixated on these things. And so I was like, I'm going to redo my manifest because like some of this doesn't apply anymore. And I'm just going to redo it. So I just like made the choice in my mind, just positive, high vibes, manifesting, just like jump back into it. And unbelievable things started unfolding within 1 week, like crazy specific things, including this job that I was like, I'm manifesting. This job, this incredible job came my way, which was and I got this job. And it was something that I had completely called in, including the type of character, the people I was working with, the sort of show, even the name of the show was similar to this thing I'd been putting out there. I was like, this is so exciting. And this is obviously the job I'm doing. At the same time, this other job came out of left field. And it was, if I didn't have the other one on the table, the one that I'd been manifesting, this other job would have been just a dream, exciting, like what a big deal. But because I had the one that I was really focused on manifesting, this other job, I was like, oh my God, what an amazing, exciting backup job. And the cool thing about it is it's with this like really, you would all know who he is, like a massive movie star who's like legendary. And he reached out to me directly about this job. And I was like, oh, I would love to, but, you know, I'm circling this other job right now and, you know, but let's see what happens. This job that I had manifested, it felt weird because in some ways it was like, it was everything I wanted, and like the money was amazing and the people were amazing and just the whole thing, it was a dream, big American show. But the only problem was it shot almost exactly the same dates that I'd rented out my house in Byron. Like exactly the same date. The start date was the same date that we moved in to the Byron house, and the end date was right when we were moving out of the Byron house. And I was like, God, that's weird. Like, okay, the universe works in mysterious ways. Like, and then this other job sort of popped up, and I wasn't paying heaps of attention to it, but it shot in right near Byron, like an hour's drive from Byron. And I was like, oh my God, how amazing would that be? Like, it's such an incredible job, and I get to stay and like have my kids go to school and watch them on their first day and do all the things I wanted to do here in Byron, which was get my mum settled into the like Byron-based seniors community and help her establish friendships and help the kids really establish friendships by setting up play dates and just being really involved in both school communities. And I was like, oh man, if I take this other job, it just means that I can't do any of that, and I'll really miss out for 5 months on helping the kids get their like footing. So I was like, oh, it's not ideal. And I sort of kept moving forward. And then it got to the point where my mindset started shifting, and I was like, okay, there are some blockages with this other job, including just getting a visa to work. And it felt like I kept hitting all these roadblocks with this job. And suddenly I kind of let go of the fixation on the manifesting about how I'd manifested it. And I was like, sometimes I think some of the most powerful things has been when you let go and say this or something better, right? Like this thing or something better or more aligned.
Yes.
And I started realizing like maybe this is why this other job came in, because actually I thought that this is what I wanted. And it was not a lifestyle that suited me at the time. I was going to be going to freezing cold winter, working on a show without my kids. It would have been the first I would have had Prairie with me, maybe Poet. Being away from my kids, not getting to be involved in the community and like helping settle them in. But it would have been a really beautiful game changer for like us, like financially, it would have been amazing. And just to be in that company was going to be incredible. And I was like, hang on a second. I think I have been delivered this other opportunity, which means I get to do all the things I've been so excited about. I get to work with an incredibly amazing actor who's very revered and I've always been a huge fan of, in a really fun job. It's an American movie. I play an American character. It's actually comedy. The other job is my my bread and butter, the like traumatic, traumatized woman, which I can do with my eyes closed. And this other one is sort of a little bit funnier. And the actor had seen me in The Fall Guy. And that was more of a comedic character. I mean, she wasn't a funny character, but she was just a bit out there and wild. And that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone. So I ended up deciding, instead of trying to see this other one out through all these obstacles and everything that was unfolding, I was like, if I keep trying again to like drive this one home, I'm going to lose out on this other one that's just organically come my way and has only ever been high vibes. And I ended up deciding to go with that job, which was surprising to me that that's where I landed. And I'm so grateful that the universe like gave me this lesson. And I think it was another lesson that I needed as I move into the new year, like the letting go. Mark's got it tattooed on his body, let go and let God. And I just sort of let go because it was a really stressful couple of weeks. I was like messaging Sarah and Eric and being like, I've got to make a decision. These are the two things going on. But if I make this decision, I could lose both of them. And it was stressing me out my last couple of weeks at work. And I just wanted to finish up high vibes and just enjoy that experience. And this unfolded, and now I'm sitting in this place. I'm here in Byron. I'm so happy. The kids are thriving. We just had the best New Year's last night doing karaoke and all these amazing people who are going to be my community. And like all these experiences that I have to look forward to. And I get to work right by my home in a big movie starring opposite this amazing, exciting actor. I just feel grateful. And it was a really lovely lesson to see me through the start of a new year.
That's incredible. I love that you shared that. And I think for our next solo episode, we're going to talk about manifesting for the new year. So that'll be a great thing to go right into, because we're going to have a Daisy Dream Circle at the end of the month. Date will be coming out, but that is what it's all going to be about, is, you know, what are our intentions for the year, and what are we manifesting, and, you know, what are we calling into our lives, and also just being open to that or something better, because you just never know what the universe has in store. And we also just don't know the timing of it all. For us, we think like certain things are, oh, this is like everything's lining up except for this, this, and this. And then you're like, oh, I wasn't meant to do that in this time. Like this is going to be the job for me. And I think that that's so nice that you can have that reassurance in your gut. And once you've made the decision, it's like, oh, now I feel great. You know, it's like before the decision, you feel so like in turmoil. And then once you make the decision, you're like, okay, now I can breathe. Clear. And I can get excited and feel clear and all that. So anyway, well, thank you, Dazeys. And we're so excited for this new year of so many amazing episodes ahead, and connecting with you guys both online and also in person. And so we hope to do more of that as well once we're both in the same place. But, we will see you for our next solo episode, and you can find us in all the places. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye, Daisy. Bye.